6 p.m. in Manfred, that's in the Manu division of the southwest region of Cameroon. It is the same time in Douala, Cameroon's economic capital city. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining Equinoxe television on our primetime newscast. We are live from Douala, Cameroon's economic capital city, Equinoxe Central News Desk. Tension grips Vinga village in Cameroon's northwest region of Cameroon as fresh displacements hit the area. Alleged armed attacks and threats from Nigerian herdsmen have forced inhabitants to flee their homes, abandoning farms and livelihoods. Desperate families now seek refuge in nearby Benakuma, crying out for urgent government intervention. Also, in this edition of the news, in Cameroon's northwest region, particularly, women marked the 41st International Women's Day with stark message. Their struggle persists from treacherous roads to scarce healthcare and looming conflict. Women in Fundong in the Boyo division, Widikum in the Momo division, and Benguesil of the Momo division pleaded for government action. Yet, amid challenges, they vowed to champion peace and development as mothers and community leaders. In this edition of the news, Equinoxe television takes you on an exclusive interview with the paramount fund of Mancon. Equinoxe television sat down with the traditional ruler who brings to you his call for peace and views on the visit of Pope Leo to Mancon and to Cameroon at large. Our guest tonight, as we told you, is Fon Angwafo IV, the fund of Mancon. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we're happy you've chosen to be informed by the best of television. This is Equinoxe television. You're on to the primetime newscast, live from Douala, Cameroon's economic capital city, Equinoxe Central News Desk. You made the right choice. Now, we're starting with our top stories. To save that, fresh displacement is being reported in Cameroon's northwest region of Cameroon as inhabitants of Bejenge, that's a village in the Menchum Valley subdivision of the Menchum division, are fleeing their homes following alleged armed attacks and threats from herdsmen believed to have crossed over to the Republic of Cameroon from the neighboring Federal Republic of Nigeria, with farms abandoned and livelihoods destroyed. Desperate families are now seeking refuge in nearby localities like Benakuma, while calling on authorities of Cameroon to engage urgent actions. We have details with Innocent Azay in the following report.
Where did you run?
These are helpless inhabitants of Bejenge village in Menchum Valley subdivision of the northwest region, fleeing their homes with whatever belongings they can carry, heading to safer areas such as Benakuma.
We want to for this for reach Benakuma, we security today. That's what they feel secure. So when they don't pass, they come.
Women, children and elderly men are being forced out of their community following repeated armed attacks and death threats allegedly carried out by herdsmen from neighboring Nigeria. According to the displaced villagers, Bejenge and other border communities such as Esu and Wum have not known peace for a long time.
They report with women for village where we never touch them. Now so they don't put some we boy there for hospital. Now we do run. They say, "Move, run. If you will not run, they will kill we."
They accuse Nigerian Fulani herders of raiding their villages and turning farmlands into grazing grounds for their cattle.
Cow don't enter bush for smoke, chop them cassava, plantain, cocoa, other one. For that one, they didn't get.
They say they do. They cut plantain to one for them. Cow they chop.
They bombarding them.
Cocoa they burn them.
The locals say the herdsmen accuse and assault them of harming their cattle for entering into their farms and destroying crops.
This side will be there for that side of Beijing. We hear say Fulani they don't cause problem for another side. As they cause the problem, so they try even for threatening we our own life. Say they knock out when they touch the cow.
For now, many residents say they have no choice but to abandon their homes and farms, leaving them vulnerable to looting, while hoping to return once the situation stabilizes. At the moment, safety has become their only priority, even as the future remains uncertain. With their livelihoods destroyed, survival will be difficult for many families.
As they come from the village, they dig all we chop, they chop. Hungry, they do it now so.
Children are among the most affected as the crisis threatens both their education and their well-being. Residents are therefore calling for urgent intervention from administrative and security authorities to protect these vulnerable communities already suffering from the devastating effects of nearly a decade of armed conflict between separatist fighters and government forces.
And this is a sad reality that is unfortunately expanding to most localities in the northwest region. Now we're staying in that region of Cameroon, particularly in Nous village. Nous village is a community with about 6 kilometers away from Widikum, that's in the Momo division of the region, where childbirth is a deadly struggle with no roads and no health center. Pregnant women rely on experience, courage, and traditional remedies to bring into life their newborns. In the community, every delivery is uncertain, and survival often depends on the hands of traditional midwives and the support from village women. Mbustela, Northwest Regional Chieftain correspondent, moved from Bamenda inside what locals call the traditional maternity, the only help available for mothers in Nous village. We have details in her report.
Vivian has been in labor for 72 hours as she prepares to give birth to her third child. With no hospital nearby and no route linking the village to emergency care, she turns to the village traditional midwife and the women of her community in Nous, Widikum subdivision, northwest Cameroon. Guided by knowledge passed down through generations, the village traditional midwife mixes local herbs believed to ease labor and ensure safe delivery. I am a traditional midwife. I deliver babies using traditional herbs. I was afraid this case could be complicated. After 3 days of painful labor, relief finally comes on March 7, 2026, as the baby boy is born just a day before the world marks the 41st International Women's Day. Behind this joy of childbirth lies a painful reality. Many women and babies in Nous do not survive childbirth due to the absence of proper medical care, and no statistics exist. I am in deep pains after giving birth. If we had a hospital here, the situation would be better. The situation highlights a broader global concern. The United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 3 and 5 call for access to quality health care for women and girls, yet in Nous, those rights remain far from reality. If we have a hospital and a good road, we will not worry. Many women here in Nous die during childbirth. During evacuation and at home, some of them die. The government should give us a hospital. As Cameroon marked the 41st International Women's Day under the theme, Rights, Justice, Action for all women and girls, the people of Nous say real change begins with action, starting with a road and a health facility to prevent more avoidable deaths.
Wow. Now, on to something else. The Fund of Mancon has called for a ceasefire and encourage effective reconstruction in the northwest and southwest English-speaking regions of Cameroon. Fonfru Asa Angwafo IV made the call as he revisited the impact of the 10-year-long armed conflict in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon on his Mancon Paramount Fondom. Simad Jikangebe has more in the following report.
Fonfru Asa Angwafo IV of Mancon was among some of the Fonds of the Northwest region who stayed back in his palace in the heat of the Anglophone crisis.
Mancon, as I said, is very specific. In the Northwest, we have many other Fonds who did not move out of their Fondoms. And even in the Southwest, there are many chiefs who did not move out of their Fondom. It didn't mean that they fund the crisis. It didn't mean that they aligned with the separatists. They stayed back in their Fondoms and worked with their people. It has to do with the way the Mancon Fondom dines with his people, communicates with his people.
He, however, regretted the effect of the crisis on some Fondoms in the Northwest region.
already sympathizing with some of my colleagues who had to leave their fandoms. But it's the fandom who suffered a lot of casualties. His biological sons were slaughtered, 2 biological sons, and he had to leave his village. And he's presently in Yaoundé. But I think where we find ourselves today, we'll have to learn experiences and maybe to draw the curtain and see how we can move forward rather than being subjective and thinking that some folks stayed in their palaces because they had some alienation with the separatists.
During his visit to Mankon elite in Douala, the paramount ruler used the opportunity to caution journalists who have been at the heart of reporting information in the 2 Anglophone regions.
What are my journalists doing to see that they change the narrative in their communication, in the way they talk about this crisis, so that we can speak the truth and be able to get back to the fabric of our society, see back our children go back to school, see the reconstruction of various villages. Some fandoms were burnt.
He adds,
it is a moment for our children to right their wrongs and be able to get back, to see that we bring peace back in our region, to see that our children go back to school. We should look for ways to solve the problems that exist within us as a people.
The visit of the Fawn of Mankon to Douala was an occasion for him to advise his children to be law-abiding in their host region. Fon Fru Asa Angwafo the Fourth's visit is coming weeks before the visit of the Holy Father, and he says it's a blessing to the Mankon people to welcome the Pope.
And as you got there from Simat Njikan Gabriel, the visits of Fru Asa Angwafo the Fourth to Douala was an occasion for him to meet with his subjects based in the Littoral region. He urged his people, sons and daughters, to be law-abiding and also dance to the instructions of their host community, the Sawa people. Let's take a listen to some Mankon sons who spoke to Equinoxe television on just how happy they were to receive their father in Douala.
Continue to be the law-abiding citizens that he has called us to be. We respect authority. We respect our host, the Sawa people. We respect every person that we have to deal with, and we want to portray the goodness of the Mankon people through each and every one of Mankon citizens being resident in Douala. He has been meeting all our expectations. I don't have everything too particular than expecting from him, because I know he's always sure-footed, and every step he takes is always a sure step. So we are always optimistic about every decision that our firm takes.
As an elite, I feel very elated and I'm very happy to welcome my phone. You know, the phone of Mankon from Fru Asa Angwafo is our father. And so each time you have your father around you, you must be happy. You will look up to the message that he wants to give you. You have to receive that message with joy. You have to receive that message with peace and with love. So receiving our phone here in Douala is a great pleasure and honor for us elites, children of Mankon, and the community at large. The mobilizations have been very great.
In an unusual happening, a man was stabbed and killed by the wife in Kongsamba, that's in the Mongo division of the Littoral region, on the early hours of yesterday, as Cameroonian women joined their peers worldwide to commemorate the 41st edition of the International Women's Day. Reacting to this, psychiatrists say that men also suffer serious domestic violence perpetrated on them by their women or wives, but this is usually overlooked because of what he qualifies as pressure from the society. We have this compiled by reporter Simat Njikan Gabriel, rather Sidik Chakucho, in the following report.
The International Women's Day, celebrated on the 8th of March, was marred by a domestic tragedy in Kongsamba, Mongo division of the Littoral region. Maturen Bengono, a senior police officer at the Kongsamba 3rd Public Security Station, succumbed to his injuries after he was stabbed by his wife. The incident, according to neighbors, occurred after the two individuals quarreled on Saturday night. He started asking his wife questions about whether she was cheating on him. When she answered no, he went into the room and came out with photos showing his wife with another man. A quarrel broke out and their son tried to intervene. Unfortunately, the wife grabbed a knife from the bed and stabbed her husband, who died instantly. This incident raises concern on domestic violence in homes. Psychologist explains.
Pour comprendre ce type de phénomène, on fait appel à un concept très important, c'est
To understand this type of phenomenon, we need to refer to a very important concept, psychological and emotional breakdown.
Et qu'il fait qu'on extériorise les données de l'information qu'on avait intériorisées. Ça peut être un cas de rupture, ça peut être...
This refers to the process of receiving explosive informations and then expressing them outside, which reveals the information we had previously inside us.
De pousser quelqu'un à réagir d'abord, puis analyser son acte plus tard.
Dr. Jean-Mérim Tamak adds that men also succumb to domestic violence perpetrated by women. Their case, however, at times is not taken seriously by the society.
Dans une société patriarcale comme la nôtre, on a toujours pensé que
in a patriarchal society like ours, we have always believed that men harbor repressed violence, meaning violence that is not expressed because it is understood that a man must be strong, a man must not cry, he is the one who provides for the family. And so the indicators of weakness in men shouldn't be perceived, even though they are victims of violence.
Comme ceux de relatifs au sexe féminin.
He says that this phenomenon is characterized by significant underreporting due to stigma, shame and fear of being ridiculed, compounded by societal stereotypes that portray men as perpetrators rather than victims.
Les hommes ont du mal à s'exprimer, premièrement à cause de la perception sociale.
Men have difficulties expressing themselves, primarily because of social perceptions. We live in a predominantly patriarchal society, and therefore the weight of society is upon us. The society commonly accuses men and judges them. You are afraid that when you speak about it, you'll be asked if it is true. So, the weight of society in terms of social perception influences men.
Mental de quelqu'un. Et ça fait en sorte que on a du mal à s'exprimer objectivement.
Violence against men is an underreported, often overlooked phenomenon, with studies indicating that 3.4% to 20.3% of men experience domestic violence. Psychologists thereby urge men to denounce this violence so that they could be saved early enough.
We told you in our top stories that women across the northwest region of Cameroon marked the 41st International Women's Day, highlighting the daily struggle they face, from poor roads to limited access to quality health care to the lingering threats of armed conflict, and calling on authorities in Cameroon to act. In Fundong, with the Kum and Bengui, women appealed for improved infrastructure, security and social services, while pledging to use their unique roles as models and community leaders to promote peace and development in their communities. Mbustela has got more from Bamenda.
Across the northwest region of Cameroon, women marked the International Women's Day under the theme Rights, Justice, Action for All Women and Girls. In Fundong Boyo Division, authorities urged women to leverage their peace-building skills to persuade their children to leave the bush as separatist activities continue to disrupt daily life. The event brought together women's groups, administrative and local elected officials, with traditional music animating the celebrations. Women also showcased their expertise in agriculture, an exhibition previously halted due to insecurity. Administrative authorities highlighted that as normalcy gradually returns, women must lead as ambassadors for peace.
The voice of a woman is different. And I call on all the women, our mothers, to talk to our brothers who have been manipulated to pick up arms against the state. Many of them have dropped their weapons, but we still have some few that are left. Dear mothers, I want you to know that these children did not fall from the sky. You carried these children for 9 months in your womb. You did not carry these children to go and die. I therefore exhort you to use these special, charming voices that God has given you to talk to these children who have picked up weapons against the state, to drop them, come out and live a normal life.
In Widikum subdivision, women turned out in large numbers, participating in commemorative activities and appealing to the head of state to address critical needs, including poor roads and limited access to quality health care, while pledging to support national development. Like in Fundong and Widikum, women in Bangui, Momo division, joined the national celebrations, calling for concrete actions to improve the living conditions and rights of women and girls across Cameroon.
And in Mamfe in the Manu division of the Southwest region, Ebone in the Mongo division of the Littoral region, and Kumba in the Meme division of the Southwest region, the 41st International Women's Day was an occasion to have a vibrant blend of cultural displays, but also sensitization of women, as Lord Manieru tells us in the following report.
Women are longing to be free. Rights, justice and action for all women and girls was the theme under which the 41st International Women's Day was commemorated in the war zone of Mamfe in the Manu division and Kumba in the Meme division of the Southwest region, as well as in Ebone in the Mungo division of the Littoral region. 41st edition of Women's Day celebration, the SDO of the Meme division emphasized on respect and discipline while firmly condemning domestic violence.
I am condemning vehemently domestic violence. I say it is in two sides. Men are frustrating their wives, are frustrating their girlfriend, are frustrating those who are sharing a private life with them. That's what is not correct. In the other vein, the SEO receiving feminine complaints for men who also have been seriously beaten by their wives. This one also should stop. Let us live in peace. Let us work together to improve the living condition of our children. That is the main message I am sending to the main population.
In all these localities, sketches, displays and demonstrations were done to honor the sacrifices of women.
When all around the world, people hurt and longing to be free.
At Ebone, it was an occasion to encourage these women to work hard by giving out necessary tools to help them in their different activities. The ceremony was dominated by march pasts and artistic performances. Civilization was not left out to ensure discipline.
On Lunako, all that women used to see for upside stone at 6 o'clock for evening, every Monday for the house. Because you can stay with the neck all what way you want. We must go for us to take care of our husband and our children.
To promote women's rights and empowerment, recognizing the crucial role women play in shaping their community.
Now that's all for the first part of news. Stay with us for talking points, ladies and gentlemen. For joining us on Talking Points, we told you in our top stories that today on Talking Points we are receiving a traditional ruler. He is the paramount ruler of Mancon, that is Fondom in the northwest region of Cameroon. From Fru Asa and Wafo the Fourth is our guest tonight on Talking Points. Now we're starting with the traditional ruler with due honor. The first question: the Bamenda Ecclesiastical Province with headquarters in Mancon, your Fondom is gearing up to receive the Holy Father Pope Leo XIV to Cameroon. It will be a unique opportunity, precious and once in a lifetime, as many Cameroonians have it. What does Mancon expect from the Holy Father, who doubles as the head of the States of Vatican, Your Highness?
Well, I think the Holy Father has a message he's coming to deliver to his people. Talking as a friend of Mancon, I only request for prayers from him as a Holy See to pray for my people. Of course, as a friend and the head of state from the Vatican City, he's coming. I am so honored that I'm going to have some diplomatic ties with the head of state of a certain coming to my village. So the Mancon people are gearing up in receiving the Holy Seal. And so we can only pray for peace. And what else? We have the strength to be able to build which is necessary for us. We can only ask for total collaboration and to think about us each time he goes back, when he goes back to the Vatican, and to think and to know about Mancon, and to always pray for Mancon. By extension, since he's going to land in Tambang Airport in Mancon, we are also requesting that he should pray for the entire Northwest, and by extension, the Southwest and the entire Cameroon, Northwest and Southwest for the crisis. I don't know why he chose to come here, but certainly he has a message for the Northwesterners and the Southwesterners, because the folks of the Southwest are also informed to be part of the mass that's going to be celebrated at the Tambang Airport.
Your Highness, the Catholic Church seems to be well established in Mancon. Give us a brief history and the depth of the ties or relations between the people of Mancon and the Roman Catholic Church.
What can you tell us? Well, it dates back so many years during the before pre-colonial times and during colonial times up to date. Before the colonial period, it was very hostile. The Mancon people didn't want to hear about the religion as a whole because the preaching they brought at the time, the Mancon people were not very accustomed to, and they felt like it was coming at a time when they were coming to maybe do away with the traditions of the people. But as time has evolved, the Mancon people have ceded so much land for the establishment of the Catholic Church. Check note that the cathedral in the Bamenda Metropole is found in Mancon. The Catholic University is found in Mancon. And I have so many Catholic churches in Mancon. And one of the best schools that the Catholic operate in Cameroon, the Sacred Heart College and the Our Lady of West College, are all found in Mancon. So we have a very cordial and friendly relationship. And it's a relationship that we honor and we are really grateful about it.
Thank you, Your Highness. Now, once again, another issue you made mention of, which is, of course, remains news in Cameroon, especially for the people of the Northwest and Southwest English-speaking regions, is the 10-year-long armed conflict. We had you in a report at the start of this newscast, and you said in this interview that one of your expectations or requests from the Holy Father will be for the Church and the Pope to pray for peace and a return to normalcy in the crisis-stricken Northwest and Southwest regions. How has this crisis particularly affected your fandom, the Mancon Paramount fandom?
Well, you know, the Mancon fandom is a unique fandom within this country. And the strength of Mancon lies on its ability to rally its people together. And so the Mancon people, from the start of the crisis, with their father at the time, for the church, rallies people and preach to them the necessity for peace and unity within the fandom. And so many of them heeded to that call, and they stayed back, and they had, for some reasons, protected the fandom of Mancon. And we had incursions from people from other areas, and that notwithstanding, we had children within the fandom who also heeded to the call of the separatists, and it was very challenging for our father at the time, based on his age and what he had for this country and what he had done for the country and the love he had for his village. He could not go out of the village. So he stayed back in the village and worked all his life, tried to pull these people as a leader. It was his place to keep on directing his people, giving a vision for his village, and he rested in peace in 2022 and handed the baton to me.
Your Highness is talking to us from Douala, live from Douala, where he moved in to meet his sons and daughters. We're glad we have you. Now, moving from the Mancon fandom in Bamenda to meet your people in Douala, wherein you are talking to us right now. What brought you? What is the message have you brought for your people in Douala, but also Mancon sons and daughters following you live on Equinoxe from across the world?
Well, as the paramount fund of Mancon, you will know that I just ascended the throne. I ascended the throne in 2022, and since 2022, as a father, my children in Douala have been longing to see their father, to be able to commune with their father. And that's the reason why I came here, so that I can listen to them, know their difficulties, and to know how they are faring here, so that maybe I can give an advice on how they can maybe cope within this community. And also to tell them that home is home. They should think about coming home, to build back home, and to contribute to the development of infrastructure back at home. And most especially, the human capital development. We have a lot of children that are growing back at home. They need to go to school. They need didactic material. They need even the schools them to be equipped with modern equipment, so that we can be able to measure among the world as a society where we value the human capital development.
And ladies and gentlemen, that was royalty on Talking Points tonight. That was from Fru Asa Angwafo IV. He is the paramount ruler of the Mancon Fondom. Mancon is a fondom in the Mezam division of the northwest region of Cameroon. We thank His Highness immensely for accepting to be guest on Equinoxe Television Talking Points. Ladies and gentlemen, immense thanks to you all for your keen attention. We urge you to stay in the company of interesting programs on Equinoxe. Our next edition of News will be at 8 p.m. That will be in the French language. As for me, rendezvous is for tomorrow, same time on same platform. Stay connected, stay with Equinoxe.